It really is an incredible film. It's out January 15th in the UK, and we have two of the film stars here. So please put your hands together and welcome Domhnall Gleeson and Will Poulter. Come on, guys. Welcome, welcome. Well, we've just seen the trailer, and I think everyone sort of did a sharp intake of breath as they realised kind of what an epic experience this is going to be. I mean, having watched it, I was deeply moved and excited and kind of gripped. What brought you both to the project, and what did you get out of it, if that's not too sweeping a question?
No, not at all. How did we first come about to be involved?
Yeah.
So I think the script was in circulation for a while, and it was interesting. It was the first time I've ever read a script and heard so many people say it's the best thing they've ever read, which is quite a lot of pressure on the script. I have to say it totally lived up to that pressure, and really the most affected I've been from something just on the page, just from reading something. I've never read anything that was so visceral and emotionally affecting before any visuals were attached at all. And then I think finding out that Mr. DiCaprio and Mr. Hardy were involved, and that it was being directed by Alejandro, was a huge incentive for me. You weren't attached at that point yet, sir, so I should point out that had you been attached, I would have been even more excited.
Will was cast before me, yes.
But what I meant is I was only aware of those three attachments at the time, so it was very exciting for me. And even the chance to audition was huge, and couldn't believe I got the part. I felt very lucky.
Yeah, and Domhnall, I mean, how did you come to it? And perhaps also you could explain to us a little bit more about the story and what your character plays in it.
Yeah, I'm aware this is strange because anybody who... We can't answer questions about Apple, by the way. We know nothing about the product. So if somebody's here to ask about a problem with your iPod, I can't help you. I'm very sorry. If you're here to talk about the film, it's weird because I don't think anybody has seen it, which is strange. So it's strange to talk about it. Yeah. Maybe we just shouldn't. The film is based on a true story about Hugh Glass, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. There was a bunch of fur trappers in the 1820s. One of them got attacked by a bear. And why is one person laughing at me? Am I messing this up? I think. Sorry. So anyway, that's kind of the basic setup. And then he's left back with Tom Hardy to look after him, and then he just won't die. And that's the film.
Yeah. No, that's very well summarised.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. On the back of the DVD, like the blood.
It's kind of a story of survival and revenge and good versus evil and all those things. Is that fair to say?
Also that, yes. Yeah, that too. And then I came to, it was exactly the same as Will. I read the script. It's an amazing story. Yeah. And it's not one of those amazing stories which is so unbelievable that you kind of watch it and you say, oh, right, okay, that's interesting that happened. It's incredibly gripping and really exciting, and I think that's what you look for, so that's why I wanted to do it.
Absolutely. Now, watching it, it looks like it must have been pretty gruelling to film. Was it even more than we can possibly imagine? I mean, was it incredibly challenging?
I think possibly. I think the film is very intense. It's a very kind of immersive and visceral watch, and I think for the most part we feel like we couldn't have created that unless we went through it to an extent. Like we almost went through what they went through, and we did shoot this, all on location, all in natural light, all with real weather elements, which made it a lot more challenging and generally pretty cold. But also as an actor, it's a rare opportunity to not have to act as much, as we got the opportunity on this.
You're genuinely shivering, and
we were genuinely cold. We were genuinely tired. We genuinely found it tough, and I think we wouldn't have achieved the same product had we been in a studio with a bunch of electricity, and wind blowers and rain machines. We wouldn't have felt the authenticity, so I don't think the audience would have.
Were you both a fan of the director's previous work, Alejandro González Iñárritu, an amazing director, and I think this, for me, establishes him as a hugely important director.
I mean, I think the Oscars did that too, and then and then also, I think the performances in his films are always amazing, always across the board. So you feel very well looked after, even though you're scared. You have somebody brilliant deciding what goes in the film and what doesn't, and how to change what you're doing. And then they also screened Birdman for us right before we started shooting, to show us some sense of this tightrope we were walking, about these long takes, the kind of choreography, but then also the invention that has to exist inside of that. So we were already incredibly excited to work with him, and then they showed us the film, they showed us Birdman, and it was just even more incentive to try harder and to believe more.
Well, you were both absolutely brilliant in it, may I say. Terrific. I mean, you mentioned Tom Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio. How would you describe them both individually and the experience of working with them?
I think the parallel that exists between Tom and Leo is absolute professionalism. You know, they're two very, very focused individuals when they're on set. They work incredibly hard. They both have a huge appreciation for the detail in every scene, you know. You made the point earlier that, you know, when Leo comes onto set, you know, he's not guilty of what a lot of actors are guilty of, which is kind of making it about their own personal performance a little too much and not being kind of considerate of other people. And Leo and Tom, for the massive responsibility on their shoulders and for, you know, as much as they had to do, it was so impressive that, you know, they considered absolutely every element in the scene, and they were as collaborative as they were, and you know, they really did work hard to make every aspect of the movie as good as possible. They weren't just out to, you know, rep their characters and then kind of be done with it. So that's something that they share, and obviously the performances are so different. You know, their characters couldn't be really more different from each other, which is you know, a testament to their talent.
Domhnall, that's something that people do say about films like this, which are quite sort of intense in nature, is that you kind of need to let off steam while you're filming. Did you guys have time for fun and games off set, or was it?
No, we would sit around and talk about the script, do character work.
Fun, didn't you?
I did.
I thought it would be you if it was anybody.
Yeah. I said, not on my set, Leo. No, we did. You know, there was. It is important to have fun, but there was also time to have fun on set. Like the part of the way the film is shot is that it was shot using natural light at all times. So you'd be waiting for the time of the day when the sun was in the right position and the clouds had moved into the right position. You were hoping that they would all move into the right position, and that everything would look right. And then when it got there, you had like half an hour sometimes to get a really chunky scene done in like 2 takes.
Wow.
So the pressure was incredibly high, but it also means that when you either get it, or when you're in the lead up to it and something goes wrong and you have time to laugh, right, you tend to laugh a lot. I mean, we did sit around, and I laughed a huge amount on the job, but then once things got serious, it got very, very serious. So knowing which bit is which, it was very important.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah.
You guys seem like you bonded on set, or were you kind of chums before?
Yeah, you two. We hate each other.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll move on from that. Sorry, awkward question.
Will kept hitting on me when we were filming, and it was just awkward, you know?
You can blame me, right?
Yeah. But we slept together at the wrap party. So I think that's kind of got rid of some of the awkwardness.
Some of the energy. No, we got incredibly close during the shooting of the movie. All of us, you know, I think this was physically and emotionally, you know, pretty tough. And we were with one another almost every minute of every day for 7 months. So, you know, you couldn't help come out of this experience with very, very strong feelings about each other, whether it was going to be hate or love. And it turned out to be love. And we're both... You know, we're both very close, and all of the guys, you know, have become very close with one another, and that's been fantastic. The experience, you know, create genuine camaraderie between us. Yeah. So it's great.
Would you say the experience of making this film was very different from what any of you had been through before? Because I suppose most people would associate with you different kind of films.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think everybody on it said it was different to everything they had done before.
Yeah.
And that includes Alejandro. That includes Chivo, who shot it and has shot a great many great movies across the board, and all of the crew. Nobody had ever worked in conditions like that, on a film like that, in that way. None of those 3 things had you done on their own. And together it was completely crazy. I mean, it was a really, really nuts experience. So I think it was different for everybody.
Before we cut to the audience, perhaps you'd like to share what, well, I think we know what most of you are up to, but perhaps tell us what you've got in the pipeline. Will?
Oh, sure. I feel like this is more of a question for you, but real brief. I just finished shooting something called War Machine, and one of my friends who I shot it with is actually in the audience, which is amazing. Yeah, I did that in Abu Dhabi. It was very exciting.
Great.
Yeah, you know, honour being involved in the project.
Good stuff. Can't wait to see it.
Now talk about
Now I think
Star
we know
Wars.
something, a little film coming up.
Who wants to know the ending? As long as we keep it between us. It's not being filmed, is it?
No, tell us.
Yeah, so Star Wars is coming out. I'm in that. And Brooklyn came out, and I was in that. And then I did a film with Tom Cruise and Doug Liman called Mina, and I'm hoping I'm in that. And then I just did like a stoner comedy with Thomas Hayden Church and Christina Applegate, and I'd better be in that because I was in every day on it, and if I'm not, I will be furious. Yeah, that's it.
Fingers tightly crossed, thank you. Okay, well, let's cut to the audience. Wait for the microphone to come to you, please. Pop your hand up. Okay, over there, please.
That was quick. Hello. There's been a lot in the press about how visceral this film is. You know, there's all these kind of hilarious stories of women fainting after screenings, etc. Do you think that's a help or a hindrance when you're bringing a film out? Like, is it going to stop some people from going, or is it going to encourage them?
I'm sure it will. I didn't realise, I hadn't actually heard that story about anyone fainting. That's awful. That wasn't what we were shooting for necessarily.
That was me. That was me when I saw
you
it.
fainted.
Yeah.
You fainted, yeah. I think with any movie, you have to accept that in this day and age, the internet affords the opportunity for a lot of truths to be told and made public. And also, unfortunately, a lot of false information gets out there and actually often spreads more easily and more widely than the truth. That's not to say that an individual didn't faint. I'm not denying that. But I think you can't really control it. I think we all feel confident in the product that we all had a hand in creating. And we hope that people are just genuinely emotionally affected, but they remain conscious throughout the 2 hours and 37 minutes. And that's really all we can do. But genuinely, we wanted to create something that was emotionally affecting. And I think that's what Alejandro and the whole team have done.
I think it's also better to be overcome by emotion and faint rather than have no emotion and fall asleep. And I think the film is very, very affecting. When I saw it minute to minute, it was so exhilarating that it was almost overpowering at times, but it was always entertaining, which I think sounds wrong almost given the subject matter. But minute to minute, I couldn't wait to see what happened next, even though I knew. I think that's the kind of film you always want to be in, and that's the kind of film I want to watch, regardless of if a little bit of it makes me feel a little worried for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Thank you. Great answers and good question. Thank you. Okay, got one up here. Thank you.
Hi. I don't know if you're allowed to tell us, but are you back for the death cure like you should be?
Do you know what? I genuinely don't know. For anybody who doesn't know what we're on about, I did a film called The Maze Runner. The second one's called Scorch Trials. The third one's called The Death Cure. I play a character who's supposed to be in it. I don't know.
You don't?
I wish I could tell you.
Already, didn't they?
No, they've shot the second one and that came out.
No.
And I wasn't in that, so it's better for it. And I might be back to lower the general quality of the third.
You better talk to Wes.
But I'll have a word with Wes. I will drop him a text. I'll do my best. Yeah.
Good. Oh, that's nice. Okay, there's another question in the front row here. Thank you. Pass the mic down. Thank you.
Hi, Ho.
Careful. Did you almost faint there? Is that what happened?
Yeah, obviously.
You almost fainted.
Looking at you, obviously.
Just the trailer.
Yeah, it was the trailer, obviously. No, I was wondering, I read obviously a lot about the fact that you shot it in natural light and the situation was quite grueling to shoot the movie. And just as a personal question, did you feel sometimes that you weren't allowed to just act that? Like, why couldn't you just act like being cold or anything? Did you feel, I don't know, like they didn't trust you to do that? It's just my personal question. I don't know how you feel about that, and I'd actually like to know how you feel like an actor, because I feel like you're not trusted to actually act.
It's easier to be cold than to pretend to be cold. It's easier to just do the scene and not think about having to pretend to be cold, rather than thinking about the scene and pretending to be cold. So I was fine with it. I quite like the cold. If I have to be in the heat, I get very cranky and I want to punch someone. So I was really happy to be in the cold. But it was, I think we all knew that he was pushing us to places on purpose. Alejandro wanted it to be difficult. He didn't want this to be easy, and he wanted it to be a journey that was going to be very difficult to go on, and to push all of ourselves to our limits, including himself and including the crew and everybody. And I think when you see the film, I think that will make sense, because what's in front of you, to me, doesn't look like acting. It looks like terrifying, brilliant, horrifying real life. And I think that's kind of part of what makes this film special.
Yep, great answer. Anything to add there, Will? No?
I can't, no.
No, jolly good, okay. Anyone else with a burning question about this or anything else? We have one back there, thanks.
Hello. Obviously we haven't seen the movie, but we've seen the trailer, and you guys being up there, and there's no women in either the trailer or, I don't know. Are there women in it? And are they good? Like, what are they like?
There are women in it, and they are equally good, if not better than the movie. That's up to you, I suppose. But yes, there are women in the movie. There's some incredibly strong female characters in the movie. Most of Glass's actions in the movie are motivated by his wife and his son. Family is a kind of key theme within the movie, and I can't really say any more without giving away something quite important. But a female character is very, very central and influential in Glass's survival tale, is what I'll say.
Nicely put, yes, but I would agree. Yes, there are women in it. I can back you up on that. I have seen it, and there
Thank
are.
you.
Yes. Any other last couple of questions? Can't quite see at the back there. Any more for any more? Well, I've got a few more things to ask you guys before we go. You talked about getting on well on set. How did it feel once you finished filming such an intense experience? Does it kind of feel like, it kind of everything sort of dawns on you?
Yeah. I think it was... By the end of the film, I was ready for it to be the end of the film. It had been a very intense, very long shoot, the longest shoot I'd been a part of. And when it was over, it took a little while to get back to normal life. You know, it was a strange world to exist in for a long period of time, and away from everybody who you know. So like this group of people, and it is, you know, it was mostly men who I was dealing with in the acting side of things day to day. Fur trappers at that time were pretty much exclusively men, but that group of guys in the hotel were my little family while I was away from home, and then I went back to my real family, which does include women.
Yes, yes.
and that was great. But the two worlds felt so separate. It was a strange one going back to normal life.
It must be a bit of a culture shock at the end of the
film. Oh, for sure, yeah.
Did you kind of like go back home and have a lovely meal and go, feel all warm and cozy?
We ate quite well in Calgary generally, actually. Yeah, we did. Will found some pretty amazing places to go to. Yeah.
Yeah. What about awards? Because obviously the director has did brilliantly at the Oscars last time. I've got big hopes for this. What do you guys reckon?
You know, I don't know. I think, again, slightly returning to the point we made earlier, I feel like for us that wasn't an objective going in necessarily. I mean, I can't speak for Alejandro really, but I'm not sure he would have made this with the sole purpose of winning an award. I think that will be a fantastic bonus, and I'm sure if it's awarded to him, then that's kind of that would be deemed credit due, and you know, he'd be a worthy he'd be a worthy acceptee. Is that what we're saying?
Winner.
Winner. Let's go with winner. Let's go with winner. I'm dyslexic. Who am I kidding myself? Winner. He'd be a worthy winner and a recipient. That's what I was looking for. He'd be a worthy winner recipient, and I think that it will just be seen as kind of a lovely bonus. But for us, you know, the main thing is that audiences are affected by it and they enjoy it, and you know, they think it's worth their time and money, you know, going to see it. Well,
I think it really is. January 15th, guys, go and see it, and thank you both so much for joining us
today.
Thanks
for having us. Appreciate it.
Talking about The Revenant. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.